Hey everyone, welcome to today's episode of the Williams Summit. My name is Julius. I'm currently a senior majoring in economics. I'm going to be your student host for today. Today we're fortunate to have Kara Brothers-Phillips. Kara got her MBA from NYU Stern School of Business, where she focused on strategy and management while launching a bridal pop-up shop in New York City. She's currently the head of strategic initiatives for Starface World, a skincare brand actively destigmatizing spots, scars, lines, and everything in between. Before Starface, she accumulated a range of experience working both at various startups and big corporations, including Google. She's known for excelling in her sales, business development, digital marketing, strategy, and operations roles, and says she has a special place in her heart for entrepreneurs. Thank you so much for being here. And I thought we'd just get into it. The first question I really had was just, what did you do while you were here at Williams, and what were you thinking when you were first graduating in terms of career, professional development, that kind of thing?
Yeah. What did I do at Williams? I was an English major at Williams, and I was in NBC. So I was definitely a dancer, and that was my
Is the nothing but cuties days, or
nothing
is
but.
that the
Are they
is
still
that the
going?
yeah, they are. They are.
Nice.
I'm not sure if that's a secret, if the acronym is a secret.
No,
I don't
no
know.
way.
Okay. The people, my friends that are doing it now are nobody knows the what the
Oh,
acronym
that's
stands
funny.
for.
No, back in the day, we had nothing but cuties t-shirts, like no
Got
shame.
you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Um, I I was an English major because I really love to read and write, and I wanted to take that and do something creative. And so at that time, I thought advertising was probably what made the most sense. And so my senior year, I was like, okay, I'm going to test out advertising, and I thought I was going to end up at a big advertising agency,
Hmm.
but I actually ended up in tech and
Hmm.
advertising technology, which is a whole different industry that I didn't know about.
Hmm. Where did you go? Where did you start?
Yeah, I wanted to leave Williamstown and try something totally different. So I went to Atlanta
Got
with
you.
some girlfriends, and I actually did not have a job right out of Williams, but I reached out to a lot of Atlanta Williams alums and was just like, "Hey, I'm looking for something," and all of them were willing and ready for me to work for them. So I worked for a couple of different alums, kind of helping out until I landed an advertising technology job at a place called I Wonder that was actually acquired by another company about a year in.
Got you. Awesome. And so what do you do now? And how has that kind of changed from, your thought path from when you were leaving Williams?
Yeah. So right now I'm at Starface, where I'm kind of part of the senior leadership team who tries to shape what this company culture should be and our growth.
Mhm.
And I just started about 3 months ago,
Hmm.
but the company's about 2 years old. And like you mentioned, the whole premise is let's just change the conversation about things that are really normal, but somehow make people, especially young people, feel bad, like acne.
Hmm.
So we flipped that on their head and made these super crazy stickers that people wear in their face. Um,
They're awesome.
yeah, and they're just fun.
I
And
like them a
it's
lot.
just silly. And I guess at Williams, I knew that I was going to end up someplace that was a little off the beaten path, a little weird,
Hmm.
creative. Like I mentioned, even though I don't have I'm not a creative person, I know that I just thrive in that environment. What I didn't know is that I am an entrepreneur, and I love
Hmm.
building businesses. So I'm
Hmm.
really happy to be outside of Google, which was good, but someplace a little more small and nimble for sure.
Got you. When did you catch the entrepreneur bug, or when did you know you were an entrepreneur?
I know that's a good question. I mean, I was definitely running some side hustles as a young person,
Got you.
but it
I
was
feel.
yeah, exactly. Dog walking companies, all of that jazz. But
Hmm.
I did nothing through Williams until that bridal pop up while I was at Google. I was just like, I think that was the first time where I was shopping for wedding dresses, and I was just like, it's kind of whack. Nothing is that
Hmm.
exciting. There's got to be a more fun way to do this. So that was the first time where I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to take an idea and try to make it real.
Got you. And what was your spin on that? How did you make it pop, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, I tried. It was quick. We
Mm-hmm.
took like the model of making a formal appointment, going to like this big scary place, and we
Mm-hmm.
created New York City pop-up shops where we found different beautiful places, brought dresses from different boutiques, sent like mass emails and just were like, hey, come for this weekend. We tried to create more like I guess, a scarcity fun vibe around it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's
Yes.
awesome. So last year you mentioned this, you made the decision to leave Google. And if I may, you wrote this on your LinkedIn. It said, I'm reminded that only by accepting uncertainty and the fear, anxiety, and frustration that come with it can I forge ahead. It seems like the Williams English major very much is coming out. I really love that. And I was just curious, like, can you talk a little bit about your decision to leave Google and, what you meant here?
Yeah. Yeah. That's so funny. When I saw that, I was just like, oh, I forgot I wrote that, but it's still so true. So I was at Google for almost 9 years, and
Hmm.
they were really good to me, but not great, I guess, to be
Hmm.
honest. And I kind of knew I was never gonna like realize all of my potential or my goals or my dreams financially, like
Hmm.
just personally, anything staying there at Google.
Hmm.
So I've tried to leave a lot, and for various reasons, I just never did. But then I don't know if it was COVID or someone reached out at just the right time.
Hmm.
But I was like, I'm gonna do this. Like I can't, I'm not getting any younger. I
Hmm.
know this is something that's not gonna go away. Um, and so I was super scared. And frankly, like I was getting mixed messages from like my network about what I
Hmm.
should and shouldn't do. So that was definitely
Hmm.
adding to the uncertainty. I was just like, screw it. I mean, I'm just gonna do it scared, they say. Um, it turned out that the company I went to, which was an AI company that I
Hmm.
left, was actually not the right fit.
Hmm.
But that's how I found Starface. So it all works out.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. And so now you're at Starface. Do you mind comparing, contrasting, I guess, like some of the differences between like a bigger company and like a smaller one, particularly for like people that look like us?
Yeah, 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 definitely. That's a lot. Let's see. So, what I'm learning is that, I mean, corporate America and capitalism will do their thing
Hmm.
regardless. Like, founders and CEOs have to stay focused on their investors and their bottom line.
Hmm.
In a bigger company, though, that rings way more true.
Hmm.
And so people decisions are
Hmm.
um, less important, I guess.
Hmm.
And frankly, like for people who look like us or whatever implications we could draw from our backgrounds, which,
Hmm.
all of us do not have the same backgrounds at all,
Absolutely.
but
Absolutely.
we may not have as much experience in like big, huge corporations and the like undertones of how you need to show up in meetings or et cetera. So I
Hmm.
kind of like, for me, and I'm not, my parents are doctors, so it's not even about that. We had a great background,
Hmm.
but I had no support on understanding what business was like and just like how I should
Hmm.
think and behave. Um, so that set me back a little bit.
Hmm.
But then again, I learned at Google, like, all right, I need to be this, that, and the other. But at Starface, like, throw all that out the window.
Hmm.
I can be exactly who I am. Everybody can be exactly who they are, like,
Hmm.
for real. Like, there's no having to put on a different face, which has never been my thing.
Hmm.
And that, it's like the mental anguish is gone. I can just kind of relax and do my job, which can be stressful, but at least I don't have to like try to pretend.
Hmm. That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So Starface, I guess they were recently featured as one of the 10 most innovative beauty companies, only after 2 years. My question is there any like secret or, maybe it's a little bit of that, like being able to bring your whole self?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is. I think our founders are both like not scared of doing things really differently and
Hmm.
like going against the grain. And I think that they're building a culture and products that speak to that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think people are hungry for, yeah, that like not pretending anymore. Like screw it,
Mm-hmm.
let's just like be who we are and celebrate that. And that's like what we live and breathe for sure.
Hmm. So something that people have been saying a lot this weekend is, like some of these bigger places, like Google and like some of these larger tech companies are kind of like boot camp. And then from there, you go on and you do your thing. Is that
Yeah.
something that you've kind of experienced as well? Like the things you've learned, in your previous career have contributed to what you're doing now?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Yeah, for sure. For sure. I think like
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't know what kind of leader I want to be if I didn't see it done a lot of different ways at a big company, or boring things like how to run an efficient meeting with a lot of disagreeing parties, um, how to like move things through a lot of uncertainty and ambiguity and just keep pushing through. I think all of that Google taught me for sure. Yeah,
That's awesome.
cool.
So I saw recently on Instagram that Haley Bieber started using your products. I'm just curious, like, how does that kind of promotion work, and like, what does it mean for your brand? Um,
Yeah, I guess the secret that probably everybody knew but me until I got here is we have a whole task force of people who seed products. So we literally just like reach out. We're all up in people's DMs, and we're just like, we
mm,
want to send you Starface, and we're not forcing it on them. We're just like, send us your address. We just want to send it to you, and if you like it, you like it. And so it's like a huge effort to try to just get them your products out to influencers and celebrities.
mm,
Um, and I'm a little bit of a double-edged sword on that. Like celebrity culture, I don't know, it's kind of like lame. Yeah. But at the same time, it's super hard to build a brand from scratch. So the more
mm,
like brand equity and influence that you could just get to like reverberate in the echo chamber only helps us.
mm,
And especially people who are like cool and like
mm-hmm,
nice, like Willow Smith or something. Like hopefully we stay away from any kind of toxic people.
mm-hmm.
Um, but it's been dope. I mean, people love
That's
to see
awesome.
celebrities wearing stuff, and it's been great for our sales.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Besides, the tech you use to like market your product, that kind of thing. What piece of tech excites you the most, and why?
Yeah, that's a good question. I have to go boring and say this. Obviously at Google, I was always Google Meet, and we were always like video conferencing.
Mm-hmm.
Totally dropped the ball on the pandemic, and Zoom just ate our lunch, which is a different story. But for me, like having now worked at two remote companies,
Mm-hmm.
I'm so kind of glad that this is forcing a revolution, if you will, on like, you're not going to force everyone back to the office on some 9 to 5 anymore. Like
Mm-hmm.
we can prove that I can live in France for 6 months if I want. I just think that this is actually going to change my life and our life
Mm-hmm.
to just be a little bit more flexible. So
Mm-hmm.
that's
That's
my,
awesome. That's awesome. I guess kind of like taking it back to, Williams and like kind of the Eve aspect. How's your Williams education kind of fit into, the way that you operate, the way that you manage?
yeah. Um, I think that, I mean, Williams really forced me to think and be exposed and learn about things that I probably wouldn't have otherwise, art
Mm-hmm.
history and all this kind of stuff. And so I was forced to have conversations with people who I thought knew more or who were exposed to different things. And so it like beefed that muscle up early. So
Mm-hmm.
now I'm never afraid to kind of like talk about something that I'm just learning about. I think that that's been big. The name's been beautiful. People who, care definitely know and have like given me props where they've seen it. And then the network's been great. Like it's small but mighty. I've reached out to a lot of people, and they've always been willing to help. Um, yeah.
That's awesome. So I guess speaking of the network, any other Eves you think that are killing it that deserve a shout out, or you think you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, definitely. I want to shout out Rebecca Allen, class of 2007, who's starting a couple brands actually that are all speaking to like Black women and our unique like buying habits and needs, and she's crushing it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Um, and so any like, you think there's any Williams disadvantage to looking more at the negative side now, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I think about like if I did go to a bigger school, like some of our competitors, I guess, have really robust. I'm in New York City, like
Mm-hmm.
listservs where there's sharing all kinds of stuff,
Mm,
apartments, nannies, furniture, and it's just like whatever you need, you tap into this trusted group. And ours is just so much smaller that we're not able to
mm.
necessarily do that. But that's about it.
Got you. Awesome.
Yeah.
Any other advice you have for students, either like looking to pursue entrepreneurship or, looking to go into tech or, marketing or consumer products, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would say like don't ever settle, like I should have left Google a little bit earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Like keep hunting for this thing that I knew was more right. Like nothing's ever going to be perfect, but just keep bouncing around. Like don't worry too much about like, oh, I wasn't there for 5 years. I wasn't this. Like
Mm.
live, live, learn, grow, test, try. Like I just feel like this will serve you the best, especially now.
Got you. And I'm not sure if you already said it, but the last question, the question you ask everybody is, what would your bumper sticker be? If you had like one sentence to kind of leave the community with, it can really be anything.
Yeah, maybe I'll just say that live, learn, test, try, which wasn't what I wrote down before, but that's what I'm going to go with now for sure.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I like that a lot. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Awesome.